Oh, and good evening to you. Welcome to News 360's live from our news hub here at Adisawa in Kanda. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Fort. Together from the news hub, we present to you News 360. Let's take a look at the headlines this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
African Development Bank to invest $950 million in 23 infrastructural projects in Ghana.
The Audit Service issues 4 certificates of indebtedness to some public servants for misapplying public funds.
And Agbelempe branch manager of Miwako restaurants, Jihad Shaban, sentenced to 9 months imprisonment for assaulting employee.
And in business this evening, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia directs Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to set up separate terminals at the ports to facilitate electronic payment of goods.
And on the foreign front this evening, President Trump signs into law bill which imposes new sanctions on Russia over its meddling in Ukraine and the alleged involvement in the 2016 U.S. election. We've got the details of these stories for you, plus the very latest from the world of sports and entertainment here on News 360. Remember, we're streaming live on 3news.com as well as TV3 Ghana on Facebook. We start off with our very first story this evening. The Audit Service has issued 4 certificates of indebtedness to some public servants for misapplying public funds. The move is a rare process being made in the public sector after about 25 years of failure to retrieve monies unlawfully misapplied by public officials.
This is part of efforts by the Ghana Audit Service to apply the law on disallowance and surcharge under Article 187, Clause 7b of the 1992 Constitution. The Supreme Court in June ordered the Auditor General to recover all state funds which have been misappropriated by both public officials and private individuals. Auditor General Daniel Yao-Domilevo says the 11 certificates of indebtedness issued have all been presided over by him to ensure due diligence.
2 weeks ago, I issued the first batch of 4 certificates, and they are gone and served on the people. Before the close of day today, I'll be issuing 7 more certificates.
Per the law, all persons implicated have 60 days to appeal after receiving a surcharge. According to the Auditor General, all irregularities and infractions that have led to the embezzlement of public funds exposed by the Audit Service since the Constitution came into effect in 1993 would be pursued.
Supreme Court ruled that we should go back and collect the monies contrary to the Constitution. And the Constitution became operational in 1993. So we have a lot of work to do.
The Auditor General also dismissed suggestions political pressure might be brought to bear on his work to prevent some investigations.
My allegiance is to nobody but the Constitution of Ghana. Let me assure you that we are not operating under political influence.
The Ghana Audit Service would issue a report to Parliament before close of year, detailing the names of persons involved.
It is unprofessional. No auditor starts releasing information on his audit before the report is out.
Staff of the Ghana Audit Service are being trained in forensic auditing to ensure evidence gathering is thorough and guarantee effectiveness in the operations.
Well, the Auditor General, who is one of the last-minute appointments that the ex-Muhammad Mohammed administration made before it exited office, was greeted with some criticism. But with what is happening now, there are many people who believe that that decision to appoint him seems to be a good one. Adam Solano is the co-chair of the Citizens Forum Against Corruption. He joins me via Skype. Adam, good morning, good evening to you. I thank you very much for your time this evening via Skype. Now, what exactly do you make of the first steps or decisions that this particular Auditor General is taking, bearing in mind the criticism that greeted his appointment and what is happening now?
Well, good evening to you, Alfred, and to your viewers as well. And this is absolutely a very important milestone, and a positive one at that. It's been many years that many of us have been asking for tangible action to be taken against officers and other people who dip themselves into the public purse. And definitely these actions indicate a new direction, which we must all commend.
Well, but then what is it really that is working for him? I mean, as against the other Auditor Generals that has gone by, is it the case that he was appointed by a former, administration and then has been maintained by an administration and so can boldly make a statement that that does not have any allegiance towards a particular administration or political party?
Well, I don't think that is the case, because we are dealing not with appointees of government at the moment. We are just dealing with public officers. I do remember that he was touted as having a lot of experience, not just from Ghana, but from other jurisdictions. And I believe all of that may be what he's bringing to bear on this. Remember also that it was a civil society, a sister civil society organization that took up this issue of the Supreme Court instructing the Auditor General to make sure that these monies were retrieved. As it were, I think he's also been assisted by the general environment where other actors, especially citizens, have taken an interest in this issue.
Hello, Mr. We'll try to get him back again. Yes, Mr. I'm still staying with you just a bit. Now, with this particular development in mind, there are many who are saying that there should have been a naming and shaming of these public officials. Well, what we do know is that the identities have not been revealed and will not be revealed, as of for now, because they've been just issued certificate of indebtedness. Do you think that their identity should have been released or revealed in the naming and shaming of corrupt officials to serve as a clear deterrent for people who want to engage in that?
Alfred, I think that most of us would say that that would have been a more enhanced way of serving as a deterrent to others who think that they can get away with this kind of impunity. And so, yes, if there's the opportunity to modify what we are already doing and to ensure that we get to the point where all these types of public officers who engage in these acts can also be known, that would serve as a stronger deterrent those who are inclined to get involved in such actions.
Well, but this law has been sitting in our books for a very long time. It took a civil society organization, take it to court, empower the Auditor General to do his job. I mean, I've been doing some checks on this Auditor General. He took this same law to Zambia, and it is working for them. Why did we have to wait till this time? I mean, when we have potent laws that could have been used all this period to check this kind of rot in our public sector.
It's unfortunate, Alfred, but it appears that we have that general type of malaise in our society. We have a lot of very good policies and laws, but implementation and execution is a challenge. And it's clear that the question there is strong leadership. In other words, you may have a strong policy regime, you may have strong institutions, but if you do not have strong leadership with the will to execute, then we find ourselves where we are today. And so we need a lot more of such individuals who are willing to bite the bullet, as it were, take the actions, and not say that, look, I want to curry favor, I don't want to step on the toes of anyone, and therefore I will not take any actions, even though they have that kind of authority and an obligation to the people of Ghana to take these actions.
Solano, thank you very much for your time this evening. I'm grateful. Adam Solano is a co-chair of Citizens Movement Against Corruption.
News 360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
The new Patriotic Party says the law will take its full course if any member of the party's private security flouts it. The party's acting communications director, Yao Adumako Bafi, insists security in the country still remains a major priority to the NPP administration.
If they will not give us work to do, what happened at Kumasi, the same thing will happen here.
Members of NPP Invincible Forces stormed a town hall meeting organized by the Information Ministry in Tema to register their displeasure and threatened the party and government over not providing them with jobs. But the party's acting communications director, Yawadoma Kubefi, says government is putting in place measures to provide employment to the youth.
We are pleading that they should just contain their patience on the monument. We are giving the mandate for 4 years. And I believe strongly that we are not going to disappoint them. Obviously, whatever you have promised, by God's grace, we are going to ensure that everything will come into fulfillment.
Early on this year, another group from the party, Delta Force, stormed the offices of the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, demanding the removal of the Regional Security Coordinator, Georgia J., who they claim they do not know. President Akufo-Addo later directed the security agencies to deal with any vigilante group which flouts the laws of the country. The party acting communications director also says the party will not countenance lawlessness.
NPP is noted for justice. NPP is noted for law enforcement. And for that matter, anything that falls contrary or anything that goes against the ethics of law, we are not going to countenance that.
National NASA coordinator Kamardeen says the party leadership must meet the leaders of the group to address their concerns immediately.
It's important that we become much more proactive now as a party. We, the executive, should try as much as possible to reach out to them now. I mean, the pain also increases when you feel that, yes, hitherto I was called upon. Someone will pick a phone and call me to come over to party office to help. Then today the person doesn't even call me, or I call the person and he's not picking up. Of course, the pain will increase. So I would appeal to my colleagues as well, who are national executives.
Well, the Abeka District Court has sentenced the manager of the Abelemkpe branch of Miwako restaurant, Jihad Chaban, to 9 months imprisonment for assaulting an employee. Meanwhile, counsel for Jihad Chaban, Julio de Medeiros, is saying that his client would appeal.
Jihad Chaban, who manages the Abelemkpe branch of the food chain, was accused of dipping the face of Evelyn Boachi into blended pepper. The incident, which happened on February 26, was first heard in court on March 8, with Jihad Chaban charged with offensive conduct, assault and causing harm, but he pleaded not guilty to the 3 charges. On July 26, lawyers for Jihad Chaban presented terms of an out-of-court settlement in an attempt to get the court to discharge the accused person, but the judge insisted it only settled the civil aspect of the case. Delivering the judgment, the judge, Victoria Ganser, said the prosecution had proven beyond every reasonable doubt that the accused committed the offense. She further noted that for the first count of offensive conduct, the law states that it has to be in a public place, but this happened in the kitchen of the restaurant, according to the evidence before the court, adding prosecution did not do much in proving it was an offensive conduct.
But with count 2 and count 3, which borders on assault and also causing harm, the court actually convicted him based on those 2 counts. And the first count, which is causing harm, he was actually sentenced for 6 months. And then that of assault, he was sentenced for 9 months. And these 2 sentences are going to run concurrently. So in effect, he's going to be in prison for 9 months.
But counsel for Jihad Chaban, Julio de Medeiros, said he has been instructed to file for an appeal against the 9-month sentence.
We would abide by it, but we entirely disagree with the findings of the court. We thought that we put up a very good defense. She thought otherwise. We have taken instructions from our client to appeal immediately. We are going back to the chambers to start working on the appeal process.
Meanwhile, family of the Miwako assault victim says Evelyn Boachi has suffered a protracted eye condition as a result of the incident. He spoke to Selom Amenia of TV3.
You think justice has been served?
Yes, from the point of view of the family, we say that justice has been served and it has been served well.
How has it been for Evelyn Boakye? Because for some time now we've not been seeing her coming to court. How is she like? How is she coping?
Okay, so because of the case, now she has to run to the hospital almost every week. She has to run from the public, and even her safety also, her security also is involved. So we have to strategically place her in a place that will be for her comfort, and also that will be for her security also. So for the first time in her life, she dresses with sunglasses. For the first time in her life, she goes through the eye clinic, go through the psychiatric hospital, of which was not part of her life. So it has affected her mostly negative. And nowadays, look at the stigmatization around. Wherever she passes, she is easily spotted for the wrong reasons because of the case. Basically, that's it.
Yes, but we are told that you've taken care of the civil aspect of the case by accepting some terms of settlement from Miwako.
Okay, I am not an expert, but it's stipulated in the law that in such criminal cases, the complainant also has the right to pursue a civil side of the case, of which will yield for a compensation, of which by the advice of a technical team and also from the employment ministry and also with the office of the minister, we've been able to agree on a compensation which is good for her, that also constitute the civil side of the case.
So can you tell us how much money you're getting? What's in the compensation?
Okay, I am not allowed or have been advised for now to keep it up from the public.
Well, the Ghana 60 Years On Committee says it has not spent 5.26 million cedis from the public purse on its activities. Well, there's a member of the committee and Deputy Chief of Staff, Asiedu-Dartey, is saying that the amount was rather released by the Ministry of Finance to offset debts owed security officers and MMDAs.
At a news conference in Accra on activities outlined on August 4 to celebrate the contributions of founders of the United Gold Coast Convention, the committee denied spending from the public purse. The committee said the amount was released by the Minister of Finance to offset debts owed security officers and MMDAs.
Now, the matters relating to the military and police and their preparation and rest were funded by central government from this 5.2 million Ghana cedis. And this is an expenditure which should have taken place anyway, whether Ghana was 60th or 40th. And I have a bill, I have a budget for last year's parade and so on and so forth. But an event by the committee was to have cultural display from all the 10 regions of Ghana. This was a 60th anniversary event, so pretended over by the 60th anniversary committee. The entire bill for that component of SITMAT was borne by the 60th anniversary committee.
The 70th anniversary of the founding of the United Gold Coast Convention will be held at Salt Pond and will be honored by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo. According to the committee, the event is to celebrate the role played by those whose ideas set up the UGCC. The event, which will be honored by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, will also seek to adopt the exemplary leadership of the leaders of the UGCC. Some of the leaders who set up the UGCC were Pa Grant, a financier of the party, Dr. J.B. Dankwa, and Akweje. Asiedu-Dartey is a Deputy Chief of Staff and a member of the Ghana 60 Years On Committee.
On Friday, 4th August, the Ghana 60 Years On Planning Committee is going to hold a memorial and Thanksgiving service at Salt Pond for the establishment of the United Gold Coast Convention. We've deliberated upon it as a committee and come to the conclusion that the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Professor Miwako, be the man to deliver Ghana's 60th Independence Anniversary Lecture. Again, as you may be aware, Professor Okwe is a distinguished academic, he's a distinguished politician, he's a distinguished lawyer, he's a religious leader, and he's a man who's had many experiences in Ghanaian political and public life.
Let's turn our attention to other stories this evening as prospective pilgrims who paid their monies but could not embark on the pilgrimage to Mecca last year due to flight challenges will be allowed to travel this year. The chairman of the National Hajj Board, Sheikh Isikwe, who gave the assurance, said mechanisms have been put in place to clear the backlog of would-be pilgrims.
Over 450 prospective pilgrims who paid their monies could not make last year's Hajj pilgrimage due to unavailability of flights. The then National Hajj Board is reported to have owned the airlines, promised to refund monies to the prospective pilgrims, but did not. The chairman of the new board, Sheikh Isikwe, has given an assurance the backlog of prospective pilgrims will be cleared this year.
It's condemnable for pilgrims to pay money and then be left out, and the money cannot be found till today. Inshallah, those who paid and were left behind and did not embark on the journey to perform the Hajj, this year, inshallah, we shall carry them along with us.
The chairman disclosed this year's pilgrims will be provided with meals on arrival at Medina.
We're able to save money out of the agreements that we signed with the service providers to the tune of almost $2 million. And therefore, this is the money that we are going to use to feed them.
MTN Ghana has constructed a hall for travelers. The 90,000 cedis edifice will hold pilgrims upon their arrival at the airport. 2 flights have been arranged to airlift about 1,000 prospective pilgrims each day this year. Takeoff will be from August 10 to August 21 from both the northern and southern sectors. 6,200 pilgrims across the country are expected to make this year's pilgrimage.
The Ghana Malaria Foundation has joined in the fight to help Ghana meet its target of eliminating malaria by 2030. The foundation has set a 5-year target to raise $510 million to support the malaria programs.
The foundation was instituted based on recommendations by the National Malaria Control Program and other stakeholders to find other critical avenues of raising funds to fight malaria. Ghana over the years relies mostly on international donor funding, but such external support is dwindling owing to its current status as a middle-income country. The Ghana Malaria Foundation in this regard is expected to solicit and manage resources to promote the prevention, control and elimination of malaria and other health-related issues in the country. National Malaria Ambassador Kofi Amoaben, who is also chair of the foundation, pledged that the board would be transparent in its dealings to ensure Ghana meets its targets.
We will also have to be very transparent, because when you collect monies from people and from organizations, it comes that you owe them a responsibility to be transparent and to report your activities, and you, the press, can demand the state of affairs of the board at any time. We have to be accountable.
The acting program manager of the National Malaria Control Program, Dr. Kezia Malm, lauded the involvement of the Malaria Foundation in the country's quest to meet its targets by 2030.
We need to get to a point where people don't die from malaria. We need to get to a point where severe malaria cases or missing your work and school because of malaria is something that is a rare occasion. And to do that, we need to scale up the interventions that we are doing, but this we have to do with resources.
The foundation will target international foundations, private, public sector partners and the general public to raise funds to help in the fight against malaria.
Away from the health sector and insecurity, the Interior Minister Ambrose Jerry says the police administration has intensified police presence at public places and social gatherings as a measure to combat crime in the country. He says the service has also deployed more plainclothes to police personnel for intelligence gathering to assist the work of combat teams in communities.
Are you able to tell the House what you are doing to protect our men and women in uniform in the line of duty?
Yes, first of all, I would like to answer from 2 angles. We need to protect them physically. And that has to do with arming them adequately. That has also to do with dressing them adequately. We need, protective vests for them. And we also need the equipment, various kind of gadgets that they would need to do their work and feel confident. We are in the process of doing that because honorable member will realize that in this parliament, over the years, we have not focused as far as allocation of resources are concerned to the security. And that is the mindset we want to change. And so that's one level. The other level is when they do lose their lives, what happens to their dependents? And right now what we are doing is we're working on an insurance scheme that we believe would cover them, not just themselves, but when they're injured, but also their dependents. And that is still in the process. So the protection is at different levels, physically, and also when they do lose their lives, unfortunately, what happens. In the case of what you were referring to, they were going on community policing, and that approach, we do not want to alienate the communities. So they are normally not armed, but that's what we're taken by surprise. So you'd see in one of the measures now, intelligence gathering is becoming one of the measures that we want to focus on.
Still to come tonight. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, directs Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to set up separate terminals at the ports to facilitate electronic payment of goods. And on the foreign front, President Trump signs into law bill which imposes new sanctions on Russia over its meddling in Ukraine and the alleged involvement in the 2016 U.S. elections.
We've got the details of these stories for you and the very latest from the world of business shortly. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the Business News segment on News 360. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey and here, your business is my business. The details now, the Africa Development Bank, ADB, is to invest $950 million in 23 infrastructural projects in Ghana. Part of the fund would be used to create cocoa marketing points, reforestation and recapitalization of cocoa facilities.
President of the African Development Bank made this known during an interaction with the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, at the Flagstaff House in Accra. The $1.2 million investment from the bank is part of the overall $980 million the bank has earmarked to support projects on the African continent. In the case of Ghana, the amount will also be used to improve cocoa yields, support farmers, and recapitalize cocoa industries.
The cocoa plantations are actually aging quite rapidly, and they are quite subject to cocoa swollen shoot disease. And so the only way in which you can deal with that is to recapitalize that plantation. So part of this fund will go into recapitalizing and replanting a lot of the old cocoa trees so that things can actually work.
Again, the African Development Bank from the $980 million will invest $500 million to support the President, Nana Akufo-Addo's projects. $80 million will also be used to improve on Ghana's urban transport and water sanitation. The bank once again earmarked $120 million to support Ghana's airport development, while additional $40 million to support growth of small-scale enterprises.
Ghana will be able to graduate from relying on concessional financing from the bank to a commercial window of the bank. And that will allow Ghana to access, roughly $500 million a year. It can allow it to actually push the kind of vision that the president has.
On energy, the African Development Bank indicated that it has since invested $80 million to support the Takoradi thermal plant.
What I see in terms of macroeconomic management, the public financial management, debt management, puts Ghana on the right track for that. And I have great confidence that this government will succeed. And I think the leadership of President Akufo-Addo in Africa is incredible, and I told him that Africa needs his leadership needs a kind of vision and tenacity and commitment to fast-paced development that he exemplifies.
Minister of Finance Ken Oforiatta lauded the bank for supporting the president's initiatives.
Part of that is also wrapping around the feeling of Ghana becoming a pillar of stability in that region. And therefore, with the economic gains that we are having combined with such a strong representation of AFDB in Ghana.
In other business news tonight, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has directed the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to set up separate terminals at the ports to facilitate electronic payment of goods being transported to neighboring countries. The directive is part of government's resolve to speed up automation at the ports and stop smuggling.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was outlining initiatives to be rolled out by government from September 1. As part of automation to begin on September 1, traders will be offered an electronic license for them to operate. Again, importers who are to clear their goods at the port will also be given a pre-arrival license before goods are cleared. He again directed customs to introduce 3D scanners to check the export and import of goods. The Vice President is confident the electronic system will enhance operations at the port.
Begin the implementation of a risk clearance system at the pre-arrival stage, and this will make it possible for compliant importers to sit in their comfort of their homes or offices and get customs clearance. Every activity under this system will be fed into the risk engine to enable us keep records of importers.
He warned agencies which failed to comply with the directives would be sanctioned.
The KRA is in discussions already with Cote d'Ivoire and the other countries. So if you come in and you tell us, oh, I want to take my goods to Burkina Faso, we'll point you to the Burkina desk to go and pay your duty before you leave the port. So if you decide to end in Kumasi, that will be your problem.
Under the automation program, waybills and bills of lading of goods will be processed manually.
Our goal within the next 6 months is to have a robust risk engine which will grant customs clearance in a maximum of 4 hours. Dubai Customs, for example, is able to grant customs clearance in 1.5 seconds. And so Ghana can definitely aim for 4 hours, for within 4 hours. But I believe we can do much, much better.
Now, a Deputy Minister for Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, has charged the board members of the Ghana Export-Import Bank, that's the Exim Bank, to come out with prudent policies and programs that will ensure that exporters are well-resourced. He was speaking at the inauguration of the board of the Ghana Exim Bank in Accra.
Ghana Export-Import Bank was set up by an Act of Parliament, Act 911-2016. The Exim Bank is to support and develop directly and indirectly trade between Ghana and other countries. The bank will build Ghana's capacity and competitiveness on the international marketplace. Inaugurating the board of the Ghana Exim Bank, Deputy Minister for Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, indicated in spite of the introduction of various policy reforms and interventions, they did not address the funding gap facing the small and medium-scale enterprises and the export community.
The board, as constituted, will be expected to provide broad policies for the efficient running of the bank. 2, provide corporate governance guidelines for the operations of the bank. And 3, will also bring to bear their rich experiences and expertise for the achievement of the corporate policies of the bank, among others.
He indicated the vision of the president is to make the country an export-led economy and change the structure of the economy with the one district, one factory policy.
This concept is geared towards providing social and economic development at the local level and provide the needed jobs for the rural folks and also stem the rural-urban drift, among others. Explicitly, the President is charging this board and the bank to specifically focus on the non-traditional export products such as poultry, cassava, cashew, oil palm, and pharmaceuticals, which have the potential to facilitate our export trade and enhance socio-economic development.
The board chairman of the Ghana Exim Bank, Kojo Boatim Jemfi, hinted the bank is still in talks with the China Exim Bank on the $2 billion facility to support the one district, one factory policy. He assured that the board will work hard to make Exim Bank an export revenue driver.
We will not renege on our ability and our determination to make things work. We will live up to expectation. And I believe that we have to make a difference. We have to leave a legacy. So for that matter, we'll work as hard as we could to make it work. And we'll do so with passion and humility.
That's it for business on News 360. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you for investing your time with us. Sports News with Michael Otieje is right around the corner. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back to News 360. Now, graduate nurses picketing at the Ministry of Health have been requested to end their 3-day siege after they were promised to be posted at a later date. Now, the Minister of Information, Mustafa Ahmed, is saying that the ministry is having talks with the Finance Ministry to seek clearance for their postings. My colleague Michael Ado is there and he joins me via telephone. Michael, thank you for joining us. Now, how did the leadership of these picketing nurses take this assurance after 3 days of sleeping at the premises of the Health Ministry?
Well, thanks and good evening to our viewers. And then I would say it was a calm atmosphere here. Earlier on, the Minister of Information, together with the Minister of Health and his deputy, engaged the media to explain what exactly the issues are with regard to this collection of unemployed private nurses who were numbering of about 3,000. So after the media engagement, he came down and then the Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid, told these unemployed private nurses that they should exercise patience with the Ministry of Health as they are putting in place measures to get financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance for their posting. So afterwards, their leader was asked to assure the minister that they will end the 3-day siege, which indeed, in a very calm atmosphere, he did that. So as I speak now, these nurses are on their way back to their various regions. Michael, thank you very much for this update. Grateful. That's Michael Ado, is a reporter on the ground as we speak at the moment at the Ministry of Health premises, where the graduate nurses from the private health and nursing institutions have been picketing for the past 3 days, sleeping there. I think that's a language I believe is working for them and has been working for them, for their colleagues over the period. Let's get into the world of sports now. Michael Otieje is standing by, a viewer, a Barcelona person. You should probably be sad, but a PSG fan, lovely. Let's get into sports.
The sports segment is brought to you by
Thank you, Alfred, and welcome to Sports News Time here on News 360. My name is Michael Otieje. The world of sports today is inevitably about that man in the background. Very soon he will not be in these jerseys because Barcelona have told Paris Saint-Germain that they must pay a world record €222 million fee in full before Neymar can join them. The Brazil international arrived at training on Wednesday morning with his father and representative and told the Spanish club he wanted to leave. He has been given permission by Barcelona manager Ernesto Valverde not to train and to sort out his future. Elsewhere, Lionel Messi has sent out a farewell message to Neymar on Instagram saying he wishes him all the best in the French capital. PSG understood to be ready to pay the 25-year-old some staggering wages, but first they must pay 222 million euros in full before Neymar can move on. And let's just quickly check out the numbers involved in that particular deal. We understand it will be a 5-year contract, as you can see in the background. As well, Neymar will earn something in the region of £515,000 in total. He could be earning as much as 450 million over the period of that 5-year contract. So it potentially could reach £1 billion in making the Brazilian the highest paid and the biggest name in world football. Elsewhere, onto another transfer, this time on a much lower scale. And Ghana's Emmanuel Agyemangbedu has arrived in Turkey to complete his season-long loan switch from Italian side Udinese. The midfielder is a medical away from completing the switch after 7 years with the Italian club, and has already said his goodbye ahead of the move. Bedu said Bedu had been the subject of a rival bid from Birmingham City in the English Championship, but opted for the Turkish league, the third of his career after moving from Kumasi Asante Kotoko to the Italian league. Let's get on to the next story then, and the countdown to Sunday's massive game between Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko is on. The Phobians have had a fairly good season, largely because of their star midfielder, Thamasabe, who says he's ready to spearhead them to victory against the Porcupine Warriors in the big game.
He is undeniably the best player on the local scene now. March after March, Thomas Abe has dragged Accra
worked so hard to get us where we
to victory, picking up Man of the Match awards for fun. And he has scored goals too, notching up 12 in the league so far. But on Sunday, he would need to deliver his best yet against Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Abe knows what a meeting against the arch rivals means and is up for it.
I think we are 100% ready for them in Baba Yara Sports Stadium. So going there, I think we are well prepared to face them.
For a midfielder, Abe's form is hugely impressive, but he's refusing to let that get to him.
I feel so happy to be in that show at the moment, and I would thank my teammates and those who encourage me to do that. That's why I'm now exceptional. Hard work and focus and motivation from behind. That's why I'm on top now.
Hearts fans will hope on Sunday he comes to life again in a match that has come to define Ghana football.
Aduta. Well, it's still entertainment. On August 2, 2004, a music legend passed on. The prolific High Life composer is credited with songs like Enshewabo and If You Do Good, You Do For Yourself. We've been asking which of his songs Ghanaians remember most.
Well.
And that's where we end.
Yeah,
Alfred, what's your take on the
Enshewabo. It's inside your chest. Yeah.
Gasa Haduta.
Look, I mean, this gentleman keeps confusing all
It's
of
like a
us
tsunami bomb. He knows what he's doing.
And that's why it's a tsunami
strategic
bomb.
Names.
Boa. We'll do it like that, But thank you for staying with us here on News 360. We're grateful. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Forts. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Also remember news at 10 later.